Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create an S3 static website on AWS. We'll start by creating a basic public static S3 site and then move on to securing it with CloudFront. If you're preparing for the AWS Solution Architect Associate exam or just want to improve your cloud skills, this video is for you. To make things easier, I've already prepared the project files for this tutorial. You can find them on my GitHub repository. The link is in the description below, so feel free to clone the repository and follow along step by step. Before we jump in, a quick but important reminder. While S3 has a free tier, hosting a static website can incur charges, especially if you leave resources running. So don't forget to clear your resources and make sure to create a budget notification from Billing and Cost Management. Let's look at a real-life example of how an S3 static website fits into a typical web architecture. Imagine you're hosting a simple portfolio website. Your static HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files are stored in an S3 bucket. When users visit your website, the content is delivered from S3, but instead of making this static website directly open for all public communication, we can limit the access only over the CloudFront to make it faster and more secure. CloudFront caches your site's content at edge locations around the world, reducing latency for users. Additionally, you can enable an SSL certificate through CloudFront to serve your website securely over HTTPS. This is the architecture we'll be building today. Let's start with creating a public S3 static website. Access the S3 console and click Create Bucket. Give your bucket a unique name and create it with default values. Do not change anything for now. Once your bucket is created, go to the Properties tab of the bucket. Under Static Website Hosting, choose Edit. Select Use this bucket to host a website. Under Static Website Hosting, toggle Enable. Enter the file name of the index document as index.html. Enter the name of your custom error page as error.html. Save the configuration. Now go under the Object tab of the bucket and upload your index.html file from your local device. You can find an example index.html file in the GitHub repository if you need one. Finally, let's complete the permission settings for static web page. By default, Amazon S3 blocks public access to your account and buckets. Disabling block public access allows anyone on the internet to access your bucket. Make sure you understand the security implications before proceeding. Go to the Permissions tab. Under Block Public Access, click Edit. Uncheck Block All Public Access and choose Save Changes. To make the objects in your bucket publicly readable, you need to apply a bucket policy that grants S3 getObject permission. Again, under the Permissions tab, go under the Bucket policy, click Edit. Paste the bucket policy provided in the GitHub repository, which is the example bucket policy by AWS. Replace your bucket name with your actual bucket name and save the changes. Now your website URL is under the Properties tab of your S3 bucket under Static Website. And don't forget, disabling Block Public Access allows anyone on the internet to access your bucket, which is a security risk and not a best practice. This kind of security risk can be resolved by using CloudFront's Origin Access Control. It is a feature to easily secure S3 origins by permitting only designated CloudFront distributions to access S3 buckets. So, in the second part of this video, I will create a secure S3 static website hosting with CloudFront. Okay, again, let's jump into creating S3 buckets with default configuration first. Type into your bucket name and create your bucket with default configuration. Once your bucket is created, go to the Properties tab of the bucket. Under Static Website Hosting, choose Edit. Select Use this bucket to host a website, and under Static Website Hosting, toggle Enable. After that, enter the file name of the index document, typically index.html, and enter the name of your custom error page, typically error.html. Now go under your bucket object and upload your index.html and error.html files into the bucket from your local device. You can find an example index.html file link in the GitHub repository if you need it. With the current configuration, when you want to connect to your static website, you will get a permission error. So let's move with creating a CloudFront distribution and with Origin Access Control settings. With this way, the S3 bucket content will be accessed through the CloudFront. Firstly, select your Origin domain as your S3 bucket, and then select Origin Access as Origin Access Control Settings. Click Create New OAC and create a new OAC with default values. Now go under Web Application Firewall WAF and do not enable security protections since this is only for educational purposes. Go under Settings and set your default root object as index.html. Continue with creating your distribution. After this action, AWS will provide you an S3 bucket policy, which is needed to be configured under the S3 bucket policy. So copy that and update your S3 bucket policy. This bucket policy makes sure that the S3 objects under this bucket will be accessed through the CloudFront. Finally, let's try to access this static content directly from S3 and over CloudFront. As you can see, when I try to access the object over the S3 directly, I get permission error. Let's try to access over CloudFront now, and I can access successfully. Finally, don't forget to clear your resources once you're done testing. Delete the S3 bucket, CloudFront distribution, and any associated policies to avoid unnecessary charges. If you found this tutorial helpful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future AWS content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.